If you want to start and grow a 3D printing business in 2025, but you're struggling to get sales on your existing products or you don't know what to sell, then in this video, I'm going to break down everything there is to know when it comes to picking a niche, finding products to sell, figuring out how to market those products, and how to get your first batch of initial customers paying for your prints. If you don't know who I am, my name is Brandon. I'm a full-time designer and creator at Make It 3D. I've been creating 3D printable designs for the past 5 years. I've had designs that have gotten millions of views online, designs that have made tens of thousands of dollars in sales, and as well as cultivated my own communities around helping other people start and grow their own 3D printing business. Now, when it comes to building a business, more specifically around 3D printing, one of the biggest problems that I see most students make, especially when they're first getting started, is picking a niche, and more specifically, choosing what it is that they want to pick and sell. And truthfully, when it comes to getting started with this can seem like a pretty daunting question to answer because most people tend to think that if they pick a niche and they get it wrong, well, that's a lot of time, energy, and effort wasted into that one specific niche. And or if they get too successful, they might think that they have to stick to that niche for the rest of their life and they can never do anything else. And truthfully, that is far from the truth. Picking a niche is basically just filtering what it is that we're selling and creating. That's all it is. And truthfully, you don't really need to know, like, or care about it. You just need to have a good understanding as to what people want and exactly what people will buy, and then create a product that will provide value to someone else. So to really break this down, I'm gonna jump into my iPad here, kind of run you through everything and show you exactly what you need to know if you're just getting started. Okay, so here I am on my iPad here, and what I want to do is cover each topic down into its own level, and more specifically to kind of tackle some of these things in more depth. So the first thing is picking your niche. So one of the most common things that I see when most people are getting started is that they tend to overwhelm themselves with the amount of opportunity or the amount of niches that they can choose from. So typically they might think that they can do bird feeders and then car parts and then this other thing. And then on top of that, this whole wide of niches. And while they might be good ideas, they tend to overwhelm themselves, and in which leads to inaction or just not doing anything at all. And truthfully, when it comes to picking your niche, you kind of want to really focus in on what is really something you'd want to really do. And it really boils down to three main things. So the first one is your interests. So how do you actually know what you're interested in? Well, a good way to know is to figure out what it is that you watch or consume or do on a daily basis. So, a good way to know this is the YouTube algorithm. YouTube has a really great way of filtering what kind of content and things that you watch. So, if you're into gaming and more like specifically like esports or something like that, your feed is very likely to be filled up with esports related stuff. If you're into soccer, well, your feed is very likely to be related to soccer related stuff, right? You're going to see soccer stuff going on there. If you're into home improvement, DIY, organizational stuff, it doesn't really matter. That's going to be your interest. So YouTube is a great way. And honestly, try to use social media algorithms to your advantage here. So you can go on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and then you can watch and see what it is they're recommending you, because what they're recommending you is already based off of what you're already interested in. And that's a great way to do it. Another shortcut or a secret way to do it is just by opening up a Pinterest account. And Pinterest is basically just a product catalog like TikTok, but instead of videos, it's more like products. And you can get a lot of ideas from platforms like Pinterest. The second thing is experience. So what experience or things do you know or have, or what gives you a competitive advantage? So for example, if you work in tech or if you work in cybersecurity, well, you're going to learn or know a lot more compared to someone who doesn't work in that field. You know the routines, the habits, the culture, you know what people like, don't like, how they operate. And more specifically, like your experience is going to help you with your interests. So if your experience directly, for example, if your interest here and your experience are pretty much tied. For example, if you work a job and you really love that job, well, that's your interest. But if you work a job and you really don't like that job at all, well, then, it's a lot harder. So then you're gonna have to work in a different direction. But it's even better if what you're interested in, what your experience is also something you're interested in, right? So like you want to ideally, like there's a saying where if you pick a niche, it needs to be something you're passionate about. But also keep in mind, you don't have to be passionate about it or care about it to make money with it. All you need to know is how to provide a solution to people that people would pay money for, right? And then lastly is the market. So what is it that other people would want, right? So, or are interested in. So your niche here, right? It's just basically a culmination of, interests, right? Your experiences, and then what other people are into. And then that's how you find your niche. Now, I know it sounds simpler said than done, or I know you might be much more confused. And look, I get it, it's overwhelming. But truthfully, all you need to know, and if this hasn't helped you, all we're really doing when we pick a niche is just filtering who we're targeting. That's all it is. So even if you don't like it, even if you do like it, all we're really doing is that if we are putting like a group of people in a room, all we're doing is just putting labels on each person, and then anyone with this specific label goes to one side of the room, and that's who you're trying to sell to. That's all it really is. So that would be your niche. And for me, for example, just kind of give you some background for me, I was huge into toolboxes, storage, and organizational stuff. For me, for example, I was really interested in that. I love organizational stuff. I love the way toolboxes and storage crates, they're kind of made. For example, when I went to create this toolbox here, I actually went to the store, and there was a local sporting goods store, and I looked at some of the toolboxes there, and one that stood out to me was the Yeti Cooler loadout gearbox, and that toolbox stood out to me the most. So I honestly wanted to know how that was made. I got really interested in it, and I knew the niche pretty well because I already use these products myself. So I kind of dissected the product. I got the product, I took photos of it, I took photos of the hinges, how it worked, where did each piece and assembly go into fit, and how did it go into it? Why did they use this type of material on this front flap versus this one? Why is this one shaped this way? Why is this one not shaped this way? I would go in there, and this was my interest and this was my experience. So that helped me figure out what it is I wanted to pick a niche in, right? And because more and more people are interested in organizational stuff, it was a pretty easy sell, especially since this one got like 1 million views. So if other people are interested in this and I'm interested in this, it's basically a win-win thing. So I create something cool, I like making something that is cool, and then other people will think it's cool. So the next thing is creating a product. So how do you go about creating a product? Like, what is it that you do? So there are 3 main things. First, your problem or your product should solve a problem. And that's a big one. Now, I know you might be saying, but Brandon, what about something that you put on your shelf and doesn't really do anything? Like there's no utility, no function, maybe it's like a home decor type of thing. Well, then that's more of a value thing. So instead of solving a problem, it provides value. And value is subjective. So what I find valuable won't be as valuable to you. So if you, for example, if you like to watch TV, then having a TV is valuable to you. But I don't watch TV, so watching TV to me isn't really valuable. So what I find value is going to be subjective. And that's the one thing you can fall back on when it comes to solving a problem. So if your product doesn't directly solve a problem, then there's also falling back into providing value, and people will exchange money for value, and it's not always exchanging money to solve a problem. Next, does it exist? So is there a market? Is there people already making this product? Is it on the store shelf? Is it something you find online? Is it on eBay, Amazon? Is it a brand that's making it, right? Does it exist, right? And then lastly, is it 3D printable? Is it something that you can actually produce and make yourself? And by produce and make, I mean be reasonable here. So if you're planning to make replicas of the SpaceX rocket, right? And 3D print the whole thing. Look, while that might be possible in terms of like maybe at a smaller scale, but if you're trying to create big products like that, let's just be honest, it's not going to be easy, right? So is it 3D printable? Is it something you can 3D print on your 3D printer? And as well as, would it make money, which I'll go into later on. So you need to really consider these 3 main things. What problem does it solve? And answer this question. Just answer that question. Does it exist? If yes, write out the brands that already make it. Is it 3D printable? And truthfully, you really won't know this until you actually start designing it or making it. Hence, then it will be, it'll give you more of a clear indicator whether you should pursue it. But if you have these, you have the answer to these 3, you're pretty much 80% of the way there. Like you're pretty much almost done. The next thing here, and just going to give you an example, with the toolbox here, you have the Yeti toolbox that I told you about. This is the loadout gearbox. And this is mine. They look very similar. And truthfully, they it's funny how similar they look now, just looking at it. But that's where my inspiration came from. So I knew that this definitely solved the problem. This Yeti toolbox here, did it exist? Yes, it existed. It was Yeti, and yes, it's 3D printable. Here you can see here that I made my own. So that's how I created my products and made it into a tangible product that people can use. So that's why it's important to kind of jot these things down and have everything on a piece of paper or and on a notepad. So that way, as you go along and start making your products or start designing it, whether you design it or outsource it, you will at least, have something in hand that gives you much more clarity instead of just having everything inside your head, right? Now, the next thing is marketing. So this is where most people get stuck. Like they don't know how to market their products and get customers to buy what they have to sell. So how do you actually do this? Well, it actually starts with these three main things. So first is learning how to edit. Now, by edit, I don't mean you need to be a studio level producer or creator. I don't mean you need to be an influencer. I don't mean you need to be, get a million views every single post or anything like that. All I mean is like you just need to learn the basics. CapCut is a really great software to learn the basics, and truthfully, that's all you really need to know. The second thing is to see what is working online. So once you've learned CapCut, so let's just say CapCut here, then the next step is to see what other people are doing. So look at what other creators are doing and really just think about who is doing what it is you're already doing and kind of create a list. Like who is it that is doing what you're wanting to do, and watch what content they put out, see what goes viral, see what does well, see exactly how they market their products. And then what you'll find is that you'll find a pattern on how they market their products, their brand, or their business. And when you find that pattern, then you can start to replicate that and implement in your own way how to create videos in a similar fashion. And then that would allow you to propel your business forward because now you're getting traffic. And then where do you actually post this content? Well, realistically, you can post it on TikTok, right? Instagram. You can post it on YouTube Shorts, Pinterest, right? And there's so many platforms, like you have four to choose from. I would personally recommend Instagram mainly because it's a platform that's not likely to go away anytime soon. And there's a huge base of people there that use the platform. And truthfully, it's more of a creator platform. So, realistically, just learn a skill, learn how to edit videos, see what is working online, see what other people are doing, and then just be consistent and put out quality content. And like I said, I'm simplifying this as much as I can while giving you as much info. But truthfully, for example, I have students that like all they do is just post videos of the products that they make and they print, and then they get sales from that. So it's faceless most of the time. If you do decide to put your face or put yourself out there, then even better because that attaches an identity or more of a brand, more of a personal brand. And that attaches with you as long as you're a creator. And to kind of show you, for example, here's my page. You can see here's my following here, 50K. Here are products that I designed. This video right here is actually this first one that I have posted for this is a fridge organizer, or a Greek yogurt fridge organizer. That's the name of it. But you can see here all the likes that I got from that video, all the comments. And it's kind of small, so you can't really see too much, but you can kind of see the traction I'm getting. So this one got like 500K views. This one got 148, 21, 18, 15, 100, 180. And you can kind of see here as I start to get more views, that gets traffic. All I'm really doing by creating content like this, I'm just getting people to click on this link in my bio. That's all I'm really doing. Taking them in, and I'm just funneling all the traffic that I get for people to click on my bio. That's really all it is. And if you dial this down, if you know how to create content, and if you have a place where people can go and buy your products, it's basically life on easy mode. Now you just funnel everyone that's already interested in what you already made and produce, and that you put out into the world, and everyone who's already interested in that is going to click on your link in your bio, and then they're going to convert into a customer. And I've done this many times over, right? Now, lastly, customers. So it doesn't end here. Like you don't just throw up a store, or excuse me, it doesn't just start with a niche and then create a product and then you make money. Like actually that's first part of the equation. The last part is actually to make your products better. And this is where you actually start to think a little bit bigger. And more specifically, if you're trying to expand your product lineup, if you're trying to create more products, more variations, make your products better, make it feel more premium, what your products, whatever it is you're trying to sell, You want to make it reasonable. You want to make it make sense for someone to actually spend money on your products and actually get some value from it. So what do I mean by this? Well, first, once you get customers and or if you're already getting customers, this is a key factor here. You need to get people to buy your product. The next thing, you need to get feedback. Feedback is important. Like, hey, how did your product turn out? Did you like it? Did it break? Is it something that you would use again? Would you buy more of it? That's a big question. Would someone buy more of it? And if this is a great way to upsell more people, this is a great way to make more money. This is a great way to increase your average order value, because people who already buy stuff, they're more than likely to buy more of it, right? So for example, if you go to Target and if you go walk into a Target, you're more than likely to buy more than what you need because you're already there, right? And that's my point. So if you already have customers buying what it is you have to sell, the easiest thing you can do is just sell them more of what they're already buying. And then lastly, you take the feedback that you get from your customers and make your products better. So it's basically like a cycle. So you make new products, you make your products better, customers are happy, they're happy. You make the product, it becomes better. So maybe the dots are like better, the production line or whatever it is, and the customers are happy, right? So that's my whole point with this. So you start with the niche, then you create a product. You can either make it yourself or outsource it, and then you market that product online, and then you get feedback from your customers to make even more better or existing products better. So I know this is a lot of information. I know this can be overwhelming if you are just getting started when it comes to starting a business online, and or if you're already selling and not getting consistent sales. To kind of top everything all off, it basically just boils down to just filtering who do you want to sell to, finding what it is you can create or sell. You can also do your own market research on what that looks like, and then creating a product, putting it out into the world, and then getting feedback from people to make your products better. And this is what companies do day in and day out, because if they don't make their products better, if they don't make what they have to offer better, then over time, someone's going to come in, step in, and take over market share. And, honestly, that's just the way it is. Now, of course, our products are 3D printed, so it's a little different. But my point here is that you still want to feel like the customer is getting something of value, even though it's made out of plastic at the end of the day. So with that said, that pretty much wraps up today's video. If you want to get a more in-depth guide on exactly how to implement this into your business and how to actually start and grow a 3D printing business in 2025, I created a free complete training on how to get started, regardless of where you're at in your 3D printing journey. You can find the link to the free training down below in the description. We basically cover everything from scratch and basically everything that I've learned over the past 5 years of being in this space. But with that said, if you guys want to get access to that, click the link down below, get access to the free training. And thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.